This is a podcast or something like that. Hello, welcome to the podcast. It's the 19th episode and we are here ready to hang out. I get pumped for these podcast episodes. I mean, it's such a great way to start a Sunday, and I really am such a creature of habit. So, I'm very often just free on Sunday and have nothing going on. And it's oh yeah, I'll start the day with just see what's on my mind and just also record it and hopefully entertain some people. But it's also just a really enjoyable thing to do, to just sit and listen to yourself talk and create something with your ideas that come out of your face. So I hope you've been enjoying the other episodes. Last one was a good one, right? I think. And the one before that was pretty good. It's been kind of fun since, releasing the video and celebratory. It was fun before that too, also. And, real heads might remember how we started with, I would just be farting around. There were some conversations. Those were really cool. But sometimes I would literally just be reading a scientific article I found was interesting. Anyways, I realized that part of the reason I like the podcast, I think, is I haven't been live streaming. So it's just it's a very similar, actually. It's almost the same exact mode of expression and communication. And it's a somewhat unique one, where the stakes are really low, but you also do have a fair bit of room for creativity, a lot of room for creativity and sort of exploration. And there's a real sense of control. Okay, I want to move to this subject. I want to talk about this. I want to go back. I want to pause and go pee. I guess most creativity forms do have this, Most art forms or whatever do have a kind of built-in thing where you build up your sense of control. But regardless, yeah, I think this definitely fills the hole from streaming. I haven't been streaming much at all. I could actually give you some stats on that. I've been getting a lot of comments on the podcast. Please give us more stats. So I can do that. Actually, the previous streams might be deleted because, the April 4th one is about to be deleted. I think there might have been one since then, but, because that's 2 months ago. They stay for 60 days on Twitch. I've gained more followers in the last few weeks of never streaming at all than I used to gain streaming for, 20 hours a week. Just from people from my YouTube, but it will be fun to eventually get back on Twitch and stream a little bit. I actually think about it all the time, because I don't know, I've been playing Planet Zoo and shit. I got into that video game. That would be a really good one to stream. Chess is obviously good to stream. I enjoy stream. I've been playing a lot of arena tournaments, 1 hour tournaments or 57-minute tournaments on lichess.com, and that's a great thing to share. And so it's just I guess part of it is I don't know, I just haven't brought myself to push play or record or whatever, go live, just whatever the button is. I haven't really been, it's just a little weird. It's sort of just a little feels weird sometimes to just, okay, hey, strangers, come watch me sit alone in my apartment and let's try to see if we can have a online relationship. It's I don't know. I guess I really have just made a lot of progress in the last year, 2 years. If I was going to be specific, it would be 2 years of being a lot more social in my life and having better friends. And, just this weekend even, I had nothing scheduled and I still had some friends hit me up. I used to not have that as much, and that, that's fine because that was sort of my way of existing for many years on and off in my life. I would have close friends for some times, and then other times if I didn't have close friends, sometimes I just didn't have I guess what I'm trying to say is sometimes in my life, if I didn't have best friends, then I didn't have close friends. And nowadays, I feel like I have close friends even without necessarily a best friend per se. Or it feels like a few, and I'm not trying to over focus on the categories. That's just sort of how it came out. But my point is, I've just been doing more stuff with people, and I don't crave online friends that much. I think there's a lot of really cool people who I've connected with through online, but it's just like, it's second priority to me. It really is like at least like solid, not first priority of why I'm online, and not first priority in terms of modes of connecting with other people or making friends. I really do love it. I love connecting with people online, but it's just like at the end of the day, sometimes I just want my free time to be like doing my own thing. So it's sort of like led to me live streaming less and just like, so I hope to, I really enjoyed my YouTube live streams. Part of that is having things planned, but I don't think it's not realistic to have that all the time because you can't come up with good ideas to plan all the time. But I think just doing some more Lichess Arena live streams would be really fun. I've been having a great time. Let's move on to our chess segment, which let me hold on. I'll mention that later. So for the chess update, the chess date, chup date. On Sunday, last Sunday, so a week ago, I came in second in Lichess Arena, which was pretty cool. And then I got rating points back. This happens sometimes when you play online. You get a little message, hey, you got some rating points back from someone who beat you. And it turns out they were cheating. You know, we ran some algorithms. We realized they were cheating using computer moves as their, suggested moves. Using some other window where they're getting computer moves. And turns out the person who was cheating, I followed a hunch, it was the guy who came in first and won all his games 11 in a row. Now, one time I won 9 in a row in a tournament. I've won 12 in a row non-tournament games on chess.com a few years ago. But winning 11 in a row is very hard, is very rare, definitely possible. So, there was 1 or 2 comments in the chat like, oh, that guy cheated, but you don't really take them seriously. It is possible for someone to win 11 in a row at a low level, especially like where I'm at. So turns out though he was cheating. I swear I'm only gendering the person as male because they're cheating, not because they're playing chess. But I don't think that's probably a good call, anyways. I usually don't do that. I wonder why I'm slipping into that. I feel like doing the podcast makes it harder to use that part of my brain properly or something. Anyways, excuses aside, this gender uncertain individual, from my perspective, I don't know if they're uncertain about their gender. I'm uncertain about their gender. This is so dumb. Anyways, so they lost first place. So my second place then became first place. And now I'm listed What's Therapy as first place. LeeChess.org/tournament/YKYGJHGC. And I did fairly well. I lost a number of games, but I played way more games than anyone. Now this happens sometimes, not way more. Like so I lost a game. So I lost 5 games and I still got first place. I lost 5 games and I won 1, then 2 in a row, then 2 in a row, then 3 in a row. And I mentioned that because you get more points when you get more in a row. That's part of how Lichess does their arena. It's a fun sort of element to it that you don't get at like regular official higher levels of chess. To get like double points if you win your 3rd in a row and your 4th in a row. Those are all, they don't keep doubling, but you get double points as you keep your streak. So anyways, I didn't have tough competition, I don't think. But second place, lost 2 games, drew a game, and then won 5 in a row, 6 in a row. Not in that order, but they did win 6 in a row. So that's why they got second place. But I got first place, and so that was cool. I mean, that's out of 146 people. And, I shouldn't really count the bottom 50 probably because they're probably only played a game or so. But that's pretty cool to come in first. And so also on Monday, I came in second in another arena tournament, which is cool. This one I didn't get knocked up to first, but I had I had a really, really good tournament. These were both, that first one was under 1,500 rated blitz. So you each get 5 minutes, no increment. This one's under 1,500 rated super blitz. So 3 minutes, you get no increment. So you can win on time if you play quickly and they mess up, or, there's a lot of time pressure. In this one, I'm rated 1460 in this time control on Lichess. In this one, I won a game, then lost a game, and then won 8 games in a row. And I got 30 points and tied for first with someone rated about 40 points higher than me, 40 ELO higher. So very cool, good. That's the chess update, the chess date. Yeah, there was an interesting. I'm not sure why I did come in second. Actually, that was because I actually tied for first. So I don't know how they determined who came in second. The other person had a higher performance rating, so I think they played people of higher rating. They averaged a higher opponent rating than I did. That's probably how they won. I could look this up, but I don't know what their tie, what's it called? Not tie control. You have time controls and tie controls. No, it's tie breaks, what their tie breaks are, yeah. Oh, and also part of this chess update I should talk about. So right now, at this moment, it's round 5 of the Norway chess tournament, a very prestigious chess tournament with many of the best players in the world. You got, this was the one I last week. Yeah, it was about to start, and I read off who was going to be in it, and I got Gukesh's first name wrong. Gukesh is doing well. He's like in 4th. He's an extremely young guy, teenager, I believe, and he's in 4th. Magnus is like in 8th, the former world champion. He's playing Anish Giri today in a pretty aggressive opening as white. And he's like sort of given Anish the edge to some extent, but he's trying to get it's a very, very small edge, and Magnus is just trying to get a position he's comfortable with. But the big story of the tournament is Fabiano Caruana, who challenged Magnus Carlsen in, I believe, 2018 for the World Championship and lost in tiebreaks. Yes, in tiebreaks. He's just crushing in this tournament. He's absolutely crushing, and he beat Magnus Carlsen. And I want to say round 1. Round 1. Fabiano beat Magnus. It was an absolutely cool game, and you love to see it. Fabiano played a very interesting move, Queen C1 in the opening, just shuffling the queen over one square to the left to guard his B2 pawn that Magnus's queen came out to attack, and also just set up it's a passive-looking opening as white, but Fabiano apparently knew exactly what he wanted to do to sit on it, traded queens, traded bishops, traded pawns, traded bishops again, grabbed a pawn, and then Magnus blundered in the late middle game, didn't realize that he was setting up a situation where with one more knight trade, Fabiano now had a way of completely dominating the position, had 2 open files with his rooks, where, open file meaning there's no other pieces on that file, so the rook controls the whole file, and just sets up a mating net with the knight and the rooks and forces Magnus to resign on move 35. So that was an amazing start to the tournament for Fabiano, the American. And he's just continued crushing. He's won 3 out of 4 rounds. And when you win, rather than tie it and then win in the Armageddon tiebreak game that is part of this tournament, then you get extra points. That Armageddon tiebreak thing is an interesting thing. Usually in a tournament, people can just draw for the round. But in this tournament, they can't. If they draw, which happens like half the games are draws, then immediately, like 20 minutes later, not immediately, the same day they play a Armageddon game where black gets 10 minutes on the clock. I'm sorry. What is it? Black gets 7 minutes on the clock and white gets 10 minutes on the clock, but white has to win. No, yeah, I believe it's how it is. Yeah. Yeah. So it's just an interesting sort of setup. Yeah, it's just an interesting situation. Yeah, white gets 10 minutes, black gets 7 minutes. Yeah. And then white has to win. And if black draws that Armageddon game, then black wins and gets 1.5 points on the day, where white only gets 1. But if you win outright, you get 3 points. Fabiano is crushing. He's so far ahead in the tournament. And he's as far ahead from second as like second is from last place, or very close to it. So that's the chess update. I hope you enjoyed that. And now I'm going to check the mailbag. So if you want to write into the podcast, you can write into verbaljournalpodcast@gmail.com. That's verbaljournalpodcast@gmail.com. Oh, and we have a new person writing in. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Robert. Robert, thank you for writing in. Robert says, hello from a listener and Patreon supporter. Yes, I recognize your image from, I believe, YouTube. It's a good image. Okay, I'm a big fan of Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad and have enjoyed your videos for a year or so now. Wow, thank you. Congrats on your burgeoning success. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Your videos are thoughtful, intentionally produced, and fun to listen to. Thank you. The rich details and characters of the Breaking Bad universe deserve deep analysis, and you do a good job of responding to those details. Thank you. Yeah, I do my best. I was just talking with someone the other day. It's like, I definitely don't consider myself an expert of these shows. You know, it's like, yeah, so it's really just like my perspective and my attempt to give a unique perspective. I'm really not an expert. Like, I would have to have done so much more work in addition to all the work I already did. And I just, sometimes you just got to follow your heart. Robert goes on to say, do you find that your imagination attached to these characters in a unique way? In light of the current writer strike, I've been thankful for Better Call Saul's amazing writing team, and I'm curious if you would be willing to speak about how great writing makes characters come to life on the page and in our ongoing imaginations. Cheers from Nashville. Thank you so much, Robert. I have been to Nashville before. I hung out with some friends there for like a few days, and it was great. Seems like a good place to live. My imagination, that's an interesting way to put it. As far as like characters that really captivated my imagination, I mean, Jimmy McGill I love the character. It was so cool to see Bob Odenkirk do a serious role, which I actually can't think of any other example of when I would have seen that before. I've been meaning to watch Nobody, and I know he's done a lot more, like he's done more serious acting and stuff. He has like a new show, right? I gotta check that out too, Hank or something. Is it actually called Hank? Yeah, that's funny, based on Breaking Bad. But as far as like captivating my imagination, I don't know. Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it. I'm trying to think of like what speaks to that the most, but like I really just like I definitely there was I guess I could try to answer it by thinking of characters that didn't sort of captivate my imagination, and like I don't know if it's kind of hard actually, but maybe like some aspects of the drug world, like Juan Bolsa, or but even then, like they're playing a role, and they're not supposed to really you're not supposed to really attach to them and care, be super captivated by them. I guess the goodness of the characters in Better Call Saul, it absolutely comes from the great writing, and if anything like immediately comes to mind for me, it's like the thing I think I pointed out in like the first video of just the way Kim and Jimmy talk in the parking lot. And just that one, I'll just repeat it here, because like just that one bit of dialogue where they're going back and forth talking about how they could get a bungalow in between Albuquerque and Santa Fe, and they could share it while working in both places, and they're dreaming together. And it's such a relatable thing. And I mean, talk about imagination. I think a lot about how like productive use of your imagination is really important. And the imagination is like a really big part of the brain. And like, you know, people go on about manifesting and stuff like that, but I think sometimes that misses the mark. Like for me, it's very close to that, but it's not exactly that. And like you do want to spend time thinking about how you want things to be. And I think that helps you get motivated for those things, rather than, you know, making them manifest. But like that line of dialogue where they're going back and forth talking about this dream they want to share together. But like they've only hooked up like once or in a while. I think they, you know, used to be together or whatever. But they're like a little unsure about what they have, differing levels of how much they're ready to like believe that this could actually happen between them again, I guess. And Jimmy catches Kim switching from talking about him to talking about them. He catches her switching the pronoun you to we or something, I believe. And he calls her out for it and goes, yeah, we could get a smoker. And just the fact that he's talking about, like, that's the line, getting a smoker, which I believe is like some sort of barbecue thing, right? But he's like, the fact that that's the line, she goes, we could get a smoker. And he goes, yeah, we could get a smoker. And he's putting out his cigarette. And so they're both smokers. And so when when they hook up, he's getting a smoker and she's getting a smoker. Like there's that double meaning to it too, which I assume is unintended. But it's the power, you know, it can't be completely unintended. You can't have someone putting out a cigarette with the line, we could get a smoker, and have that be unintended. But yeah, that's like my favorite example. But of course, it doesn't have to be super rare. Like the writing throughout is brilliant. I mean, the whole like way that the Better Call Saul show ends with 3 Gene episodes. That's not like a fully accurate way to describe the episodes, but just like the way they laid out the season. I feel like they were always doing the best with what they had. And I've only listened to a few of the podcast episodes, but like, what they do, it's so different than me sitting down and writing. Like, it's so different. It's so collaborative. All the actors are, having a say in things. There's so many different people on the writing team. So it's just like their writing really is this like active collaboration and this like social this social phenomenon. So I don't know. There's just that really cool side of it. The more I hear about, and Snaps will tell me, or I'll read things other places. This person did, this person like influenced their own character. This actor, suggested that this character, go about this like that. So I just think that's really beautiful to think about how they, work together like that. And it's something that I would find pretty hard, actually. Like maybe one day I'll be in that position, like on a writing team or something. I don't know. That would be interesting. But yeah, it would be, I would really like it. If it was like, if I was leading it, I don't know. That would probably be really stressful. But being a part of it would probably be fun. I don't know. Leading it and then having to like, compromise is just so interesting. I remember I thought about that when I was working on my video about the movie The Immaculate Conception of Little Dizzle, which is this weird and awesome movie. And I watched some interviews where the director was talking about collaborating with the editor and having to like give up control for the first time in his like artistic career in a significant way. And the editing is part of what makes the movie so good. And so I just like thinking about how like compromising your control can be like helpful, and then even probably make you go out of your comfort zone a little bit. Wow, Magnus just pushed E6 as white, pushing his pawn to the 6th rank out of 8. Apparently the computer doesn't love the move. The computer suggests Geary just push his pawn back to F6 right next to it. Sort of like, say, I don't even care about that pawn. You can just leave it there for a while. It's going to be a liability later. Anyways, back to the question. Yeah, I mean, I think I definitely attached to the characters, and I love them. And I like didn't attach to Walter, and that's part of why my, I didn't majority attach to Walter. And that's just something I've admitted and been honest about. And I understand that makes my perspective on the show not resonate for certain people. So thank you, Robert, for writing into the podcast. And looking forward to hearing from more different people. I really enjoy, that's a really fun aspect of this podcast, people writing in and responding. I don't know. I guess that's part of what's different about the podcast from live streaming. There's just a more sort of chill slowness to it. As much as I try to be clear and chill with the live streaming, people still expect completely unreasonable things based on the nature of live streaming. Unreasonable levels of attention. And that's not the norm, but it's just enough that it's annoying. And so I like being able to feel more in control of the expectations that I'm subjecting myself to. And podcasting does give me that. So I'm a full-time podcaster now. I quit my day job. I'm shutting the YouTube channel. I'm just going to be doing podcasting. That was me putting a pen down. I keep a pen here and paper so I can write down, I just took a sip of coffee for 20 seconds. I'm going to have to cut that out later. It's very convenient if I just write down the time code. Okay. We got a bunch more things to talk about. So the mailbag reminded me, just regards to like interacting with people online and stuff. I recently posted a Happy Pride Month post on YouTube. And I just wanted to make sure to create a little space for people to celebrate Pride Month on my channel. And it was a nice little happy moment. A nice, people just being like, hell yeah. And this makes me very happy. And people saying that I'm cool for, basic human decency. And that's been fun. Yeah, I realized the other day I talked about comments like people leave that like make odd assumptions and like just sort of like don't feel the need to back up points at all with any sort of like line of logic. And I thought it was an interesting thing that made me think about how I do that too, and about how all communication rests on like selective choice of like when we view things as requiring argumentation. It was just kind of interesting. But I don't know. I came away, I was like, did I give the best examples? It's just a mixture of that and people putting things in my mouth. And there's this example today. Someone commented on the new video. I find it awful that you call people who like Walter White incapable of love and harm those in their life just because they relate to Walter's emotional numbness. Like, what? It's like, I get exactly where this person is coming from, but they've twisted everything I say. People who like Walter White incapable of love is just, no. I say that I think if people are uncritical about things like the I am the danger speech, that it's likely they have not been in a serious romantic relationship. I believe that's the thing I say or imply directly. And I think that's fair. I'm not going to make a sweeping statement. Obviously, many people have, but I think it's fair to say if someone, like I think of myself when I had never been in a romantic relationship. I was definitely more likely to not understand how, like what was wrong with one romantic partner treating another, like not taking another's needs into account. I would have understood that way less. Okay. I would never say people are incapable of love. I would never say that for any reason, let alone liking Walter White. And harm those in their life. I mean, I don't know what they're referring to there, but yeah, I do think that there's probably there's an increased chance that if you're uncritical of like someone doing harm, doesn't that mean you'll be more uncritical of yourself doing harm? Again, I'm not drawing a direct one-to-one sweeping statement. This person goes on to say, why don't you say that they're lost and thought that the best way to face mental or psychological pain in their life is to be numb like Walt? I feel like I kind of do say that. Like that's a fair way to say things, and I feel like that's just a rephrasing of how I talk about Walt pushing down his feelings. This person goes on to say many young men face these things nowadays. Yeah, I literally say many older men face these things nowadays. So you never really know when the comment, and then they close by saying like, dude, you're a therapist, you should know that. Hey, you watched my video, you should know that I said a lot of that stuff. So it's just interesting. I'm gonna find some positive comment to read because I don't like it to seem like I'm just focusing on the negatives. But I do find the way people criticize things to be so interesting. And I was just like, I read that comment. I was like, wow, people will just, it's so tempting to want to respond, but there's no point because then what? They're going to respond to me, or I'm going to get into this whole back and forth. One more other comment I wanted to respond to. Someone said, is there something weird about his voice at 1 hour, 22 minutes, or is it just me in the new video? Nope, that's not just you. That is exactly the point where I had to record something after to add in a point. It was about Jesse, his pro forgetting moment where I believe it's after the... Wait. What is it at? What is it fucking after? Is it right before the spooge thing? Or no, it's after the spooge situation, right? After the spooge situation, Jesse's like, I just want to forget. And so I found that clip when I was editing, and I was like, okay, he literally says, I just want to forget. I need to put that in my pro forgetting section. So I had to break out the whole like DIY recording booth, which is a standing desk basically that I drape blankets over and sit underneath and record on my mic inside of. And it sounded different, of course, and I just didn't worry about it. It was impossible to make it sound the same. My voice is in a different space in that, everything's always going to sound different. And, actually after I did that, I started noticing it in other people's videos, more. So, okay. So that's good. Good stuff. Should I find a positive comment to read? So I'm not just talking about negative ones. Blap bleep bloopity blap blap. I mean, it's amazing. The video hit 2.5 million views. It's brought so many people into the channel. The views are, I think, starting to go to a more reasonable level, as they should. At a certain point, there should be fewer people who want to watch a 3-hour video. But yeah, it's very, it's just been amazing. I'm like, someone just commented just now, 52 minutes ago, man, you and I are so different. Thank you for making your thoughts public like that. I learned so much from differences in our perspectives. I hope you're well. That's so cool. That's so cool. I can show you another one I liked. This person's comment made me happy. This person commented, this guy's brain is on another level. I fuck with it. That was a week ago. I really like that. I just found it by searching FK because that's how they spelled fuck. So that, people say really nice things like that, and that's really beautiful. So a few other things before we go. Actually, a bunch more things. Okay, what do I want to talk about first? Amazing video just came out by channel The Leftist Cooks. That's Sarah and Neil, and they both together make unbelievably good videos that are so creative, well-researched, well-argued, and just human and loving and fantastic. And they just came out with their video Sex and the Revolution. And it's about how we treat sex and sexuality and how that also correlates and connects to views on social and political revolution. It's an extremely good video that is actually longer than than mine. They fucking did it to me. I take it personally. I know they were thinking about me personally. They made it like 2 hours and 48 minutes or something. So they dominated me on that level. I have to admit that. One thing in their video that I wanted to mention was last week we were talking about when nouns are verbs also. I shouldn't say when nouns become verbs because it's like you don't know which comes first. But like there are a lot of words that are also, they're nouns and they're verbs. And one from their video that was good is queer. Queer. being, I want to assume it started as a noun, and probably as a pejorative noun. And then obviously it's been embraced as a non-pejorative noun. There's a bus in the background. You can hear beeping. But I don't feel like re-recording this point. But yeah, queer is also a verb. So that's sort of how they talk about it in their video, and how they sort through, why it makes sense to view, for instance, polyamory as a form of queer identity, because it queers sort of like hegemonic structures of relations. It queers the way we think about how we relate to each other and how we think about relationships. Whereas, just like, but not inherently. And it all depends on how you do, like how you go about performing your identity and being who you are. But like that what it means to be queer is to queer. And so I thought that was a really cool example of a noun being a verb. And I wanted to mention that because we were talking about that last week. Okay, what next? Oh yeah, I guess I'll just mention, like, I did spend a lot of time this weekend so far. I was off Friday, so I spent a lot of time Friday and yesterday working on a script. So it's not about a TV show, it's not about a movie. It's not anywhere close to finish, but I will just say, for the purposes of talking about what I'm working on, yeah, I definitely had a productive weekend. I finally delved back into this huge project, which I've mentioned. If you've followed the channel for a while, you've heard me mention I've been working on a video about or a script and researching. Damn, that bus is like in the area, huh? Oh, I think it's a garbage truck. Why on Sunday? Okay, anyways, it stopped. Oh no, yeah, it's definitely a garbage truck. Okay, well that's cool. I don't think anyone put our garbage down by the road. Okay, anyways, yeah, so yeah, it's about an AI company, a company that, has an AI art tool. And it's really been crazy. I've just been like, it's about the craziest. It's genuinely the fucking most wild rabbit hole I've ever fallen down. And I'm a year and a half down the rabbit hole. And I have this script broken up into segments with a lot written. And I have all these interviews I've watched and taken notes on, and all these, panel discussions I've watched, some articles I need to read. And so this weekend I finally, it's just such a bulky fucking thing. I'm like, it's like hard to resist like putting it off and just procrastinating. So it's just been, totally on the back burner for so long. And finally this weekend I got back into, there were, just starting with like some pieces I needed to put back together, some things I had left out of the script. Okay, put in, this point from this interview. I just put in the script. So, I'll write in the script while I'm writing. Oh, I'm too lazy to do it now, but like put in, that thing from that time I emailed Spotify to like ask them about like how this works or something. And so, yeah, that sort of gets into what I was doing this weekend. So I did a bunch of that, sort of like putting in stuff from interviews. I have some interviews with like the CEO of the company and stuff. And I was like transcribing some of the quotes so I could have them in the script and look at them and try to make sense of what they're fucking talking about. And then that all led me like, so I would like, I fall down all these other rabbit holes, y'all. And like this weekend I've been learning about how royalty revenue works on streaming services. And it is so complicated. And like how that revenue works and who gets the revenue and like how it gets broken down and who decides how it gets broken down. And this is all to try to speak to like a side point that the CEO made, but like a point that I think is very relevant. And this video, y'all, is just going to be the most wild fucking rabbit hole imaginable. It's going to be so cool. I have all these different parts where I'm just like going into so much detail, and I'm really letting myself just research and read. And today I'm probably going to get back into it. When I stop the podcast, I have my computer like restarted overnight, so I lost all the windows that were open, but I did save the links. I have a lot of stuff to read about specifically the pro rata way that streaming platforms calculate how much to pay royalties. They don't pay per stream. They don't give you money. Like if you make an album, they don't give you money based on the specific number of streams you get directly. They do it based on what's called stream share or pro rata calculations, which are in like a given country or territory. They calculate your share of the streams market, which I think is number of streams and also time listened, sort of like calculated together. And then they divide the they divide the total number of like listens and time listened in that territory by your amount that you got, and then that figure is your stream share, and then is how they then calculate your share of the royalties. But that pool of money that goes into those that pool of money that then you get that share of the royalties, that pool of money that they consider their royalty pool that then, you get a share of, that pool of money comes from obviously their revenue from, subscriptions and ads mainly. They have other sources of revenue, like they sell your data and, they do all kinds of things like that. But, you won't get money based on that for royalties necessarily, but you get money, you get a percentage of their income. And it's just interesting, like that they sort of do it in this way, because there are other ways that they could calculate how much to pay people. They could, some legislators in some countries have tried to introduce like new royalties or like people do support, like some people do support like a new royalty that's directly paid to say like musicians or something like that, from these streaming services that would be, say, based directly on something like listens or time listened. So it wouldn't necessarily, be this market manipulation thing. But I'm still trying to figure out, I have to do more reading to understand how this stream share thing exactly supports the companies, like why they do it exactly. Because it is very hard for me to understand. But that will help me make the point of why this AI company CEO is sort of like obfuscating the main points of things when he goes about describing the issues in music markets in the way he does, and how self-serving his way of describing things is the point I'm building towards in this one specific section that I need to just like fucking tie up to move on to so much other stuff involving copyright and involving all these other side rabbit holes I fell down. So that'll be really interesting. I'll probably do that today. I didn't mention last time my screen time. That's been a segment on the podcast. A lot of people were very upset I didn't do my screen time segment last week. So we're going to do my screen time segment right now. Oh, wow, my friend just responded. I just told my friend how well my Breaking Bad video did. And he's like, wow. That always feels nice to tell people. It's the dumbest segment, the screen time segment. But okay, so I don't know what it was last week, but it was 44 minutes. The week before this past week. But yeah, it was 44 minutes daily average screen time this past week. YouTube totaled the highest, and then messages, and then YouTube Studio. Wow, I spent an hour in YouTube Studio over the past week. That's a surprising amount of time. And that's just on my phone. That's too much. I spend too much time in YouTube Studio. I have to admit that. I'll be honest. It's just so addictive. It's like, wow, look at all these numbers that are related to me. Yeah. Okay, so that was that segment. And I also want to talk about my fantasy baseball league. I ended up having a great time last week. I think I didn't mention it. Or I did mention it. I forget. I think I might have mentioned it. Let's see. Do I ever? No, I don't think I mentioned it. So yeah, I won my matchups and now I'm doing pretty well. I am my record in my league. You have a week-long matchups, and then at the end, whoever has the most points wins. I'm 5-3. If I win today, I'm 6-3. So that would be really, really good. I'm up 20 points, which is a pretty good bump. But me and my opponent, which is my good friend, actually the one that just texted me about my video that I just told him, and he was excited. It's yeah, it's we both have three pitchers who have starts today, so that could be a really big difference. If my pitchers do bad and his pitchers do well, he could easily surpass me, and depending on how the batters do, you know. So yeah, fantasy baseball, very fun, and yeah. I think that's pretty much it for today. I mean, there's other stuff about baseball I could talk about, but just that's enough about that. But like one funny thing I just wanted to mention is like while I was editing the Breaking Bad video, there was this one time where like just this horrible sound started getting started coming out of my computer, and like genuinely like a like something like that is my best impression. Like as like coming it like wasn't even clear like that it was coming out of the speakers or like the computer itself. It was like holy shit. I'm like, deep in editing. Like probably had edited like 2/3 of the video, and I'm like, holy shit. So I think I had just saved or something, so I just turned the computer off and restarted it, and it never happened again. But things like that happen all the time. My phone has issues, it restarts. My computer has issues where it'll restart. Yesterday I was playing Planet Zoo, and it just like shut down after like an hour or 2 hours. So yeah, it's just kind of says a lot about our society, I think. Oh shit, I'm getting arrested. Oh shit. I should end the podcast before I get arrested. Oh. Wait. Oh my god. It's my no man pursueth moment. I guess they're not after me after all. Wow. That's so cool. Okay, well, thanks so much for listening, and feel free to check out the other episodes of the podcast. Check out the other videos if you haven't watched them. They're kind of weird. And I'm going to have a good rest of the Sunday here, and I hope you do as well. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day or night or whatever. Oh yeah, one more thing I can mention. This is fucking insane. This is a little bonus for listening to the end. This is not a joke, okay? So if you know the YouTuber Brian David Gilbert, he's really great. And I was just thinking about him the other day, and I was like, oh, I love how he does that thing when he streams where he's on an exercise bike. He's gaming, but he's on an exercise bike while he's streaming. He's on a stationary bike. And I was like, that would be so good to do, whether I'm streaming or just when I sit at my computer for too long, reading, writing, whatever. Within less than 24 hours, I was walking home with a friend from a friend's place at like 1 a.m., and we immediately pass a stationary bike that someone had just left out that they didn't want anymore. It's not a Peloton, okay? It's not a fucking like $1,000. I don't know how much a Peloton is. It's not a Peloton, and I could carry it. I could carry it for a solid 8-minute walk, but it was fucking heavy, and it's like not a piece of junk. It's definitely not a piece of junk. Like you can sit on it and like get a workout. It creaks and cracks here and there, but I literally. So I guess if I believed in manifesting, I fully manifested a fucking exercise bike. But since I don't, I'm just like, well, that's a coincidence. And is that worse? Is that a worse way to live my life? Because I don't feel it is. I'm like, no, I don't believe there's a connection between me wanting an exercise bike and me finding that, except that it primed me to look for an exercise bike. I do not think I had anything to do with the person deciding to leave their exercise bike there. You tell me what you think about that. All right, have a good one. Thanks for listening. Stay good, and keep it fresh. It's my new catchphrase. Okay, goodbye. This is a podcast or something like that.